Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be talking about under the radar positions that I think the Washington football team needs to try to upgrade this off season. If you guys are new, make sure to subscribe for Washington and NFL content, guys. Also, make sure to hit that like button. It helps the channel out a ton. Now, let's get right into the video. So there's a lot of different positions that the Washington football team needs to upgrade that everybody knows. Obviously, linebacker is a big need that we need to address. Wide receiver is also another big need. We need a wide receiver too. Also, a lot of people think we need to make an upgrade at quarterback, and there's some other positions as well, free safety. But in today's video, like I said, we're going to be talking about some under the radar positions that the Washington football team needs to address this off season. So let's first start off with backup tight end. I really think the Washington football team needs to address this off season. First off, all we have is Logan Thomas, who is great, but that's really the only tight end we have under contract besides, Thaddeus Moss, who we'll see if he progresses. I think he could be a solid number 2, but we can't necessarily count on that. Jeremy Sprinkle, who obviously was not great this year at all, he's a free agent, and I think we need to bring in a second tight end who, if Logan Thomas goes down, he can produce like a tight end 1 or close to it. Logan Thomas had a really good year, but if he would have gotten hurt, we would have had no one that could have, been a solid pass catcher. So there's a couple options in free agency. If you want to go the veteran route, for 1 or 2 years, maybe you go Jared Cook, who had about, close to 500 yards this year. If you want to go the young route, a little bit more expensive, and he could honestly be more of a tight end 1, that could be John Smith. Gerald Everett would be a solid backup. He would push Logan Thomas, and maybe they could they would be competing for the starting spot this past year, had about 417 yards. And then Mo Ali Cox would be probably the perfect backup, had about 400 yards this past year, 2 touchdowns, would be solid, and is a solid pass catcher, if one of our guys have to go down. And we're going to be able to use 2 tight end sets if we have 2 tight ends that are, capable pass catchers. So I think that's a big need this offseason. You can do it in free agency, or you could do it in the draft. Maybe you draft a tight end in the 4th or 5th round and you groom him behind Logan Thomas for a year or so, and maybe he can turn into a solid backup or maybe even a starter. And we'll also see what Thaddeus Moss can do this season. He went on IR last year before the season started, but he's still under contract for us, and we'll see if he progresses. He was really hurt last year, and that's part of the reason why his production, he wasn't able to start the season on the 53-man roster. So that's a big need, I think, for Washington. Now on to the second need. This is something we've struggled with in the last couple years, and I think we need to upgrade the punt returner / kick returner position this off season. Our punt returner was Steven Sims and Isaiah Wright. I think it started off as Isaiah Wright this year, and then it transitioned into Steven Sims. I think Isaiah Wright had 1 lost fumble. Steven Sims had 2 or 3. Steven Sims was terrible because he obviously lost football a bunch, and he didn't even get that many yards. And same with Isaiah Wright. We just need either another in-house option that could be a really good punt returner, or get a late round guy, 7th round, 6th round, DB, wide receiver, whatever, or someone in free agency like a Desmond King who can help in the secondary and also has some punt returner / kick returner capabilities. We just need to get a better spark. Danny Johnson, I wouldn't be upset if we brought him back as our kick returner. He actually was solid, and he usually, when he returned it, he would get it to the 25 or past that, but he would barely return it. Maybe once a game he would return it, and that's it. And if there's not many guys in the league that are really special, but Devin Duvernay from the Ravens, they found him in the 6th round this year. Maybe you can find that, because that's a huge spark, especially for offense that struggled this past year. If you can get a few, plays a year where you start past the 50-yard line because of your special teams, that helps out a ton. And, punt returner, that's another thing. You got to get a guy who at least can make the fair catch, and that's it, because Steven Sims could not do that. But you also want someone who can provide a spark. And, some options on the team, I don't think they would do this, but I really think J.D. McKissic would be a solid punt returner. I just don't think they want to get him, the chances of him getting banged up. So that's probably why they wouldn't do it. But guys like that, maybe Greg Stroman, he's tried it before. But I think, trying to sign someone or draft someone that can do that. Obviously, you don't necessarily want to sign someone that just does that, but it's someone, can play DB as a backup and he can play, be a solid returner. Then that's who I want. I think we need to upgrade that position this offseason. And the third one, this isn't a huge hole, but I do think we need to upgrade our secondary a little bit more in terms of cornerback. Obviously, Ronald Darby is not under contract, so we want to bring him back. And if we're not able to bring him back, then we're definitely going to have to address that in free agency. William Jackson, AJ Bouye. There's some other guys as well, but also I think, we're still missing that number one cornerback. We are still missing that number one cornerback. I think Ronald Darby and Kendall Fuller are really solid number two corners. And there's really not many number one cornerbacks in the league, and it's really hard to get. But if you could somehow get it, I really like William Jackson. He had a really good year this year for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think he allowed like a 50-something% completion percentage, and he was going up against the number one cornerbacks every game. He has some good potential. Shaquille Griffin does as well. I don't think it's a huge need, but if you think there's a cornerback, a cornerback one in free agency or in the draft that you can get, I think it is something to monitor. Maybe, there's a lot of San Francisco 49er players that are free agents this offseason in the secondary. Jamar Taylor, Jason Verrett, Richard Sherman. Obviously, you got that connection with Martin Mayhew, who is more of, a pro personnel kind of scout. He does more of the free agency stuff. So that could be something to monitor, those guys right there. Maybe Washington signs a couple of San Francisco 49er players this offseason. So those are the three, positions I think are under the radar that we need to upgrade. And one more, and this isn't really a big need at all. It's just if you can get an upgrade. I love our running back core right now. I love Gibson and I love McKissic. And, I'm fine if we bring back Peyton Barber. But I do think that we need to get another guy this offseason that can help Antonio Gibson, because J.D. McKissic is more of a pass catching back. He can run the ball a little bit, but you want him more as your pass catching back. And Barber was solid. He got us a lot, converted on a lot of 3rd and 1s. But if you can get a guy that can provide a spark that, if Gibson's out, he can get 15, 17, 20 rushes and still be very productive. That's just my opinion. I don't think we should go out and pay anyone big money, but maybe in the draft, there's always so many late round running backs that end up being, great starters. Philip Lindsay a few years ago was an undrafted free agent, made the Pro Bowl in his first year. James Robinson was one of the best running backs in the NFL last year and was an undrafted free agent. So that's what I would do. Take a flyer on a late round guy that can, maybe a 5th, 6th, 7th round pick. We don't have a 6th, but maybe a 7th round pick on a running back. And, he can help you out a ton. And you never know if you're going to get a really good guy, because there's some really good potential in those late rounds with that running back position. So let me know what under the radar position you think the Washington football team needs to upgrade. I kind of gave you guys 4 right there. Obviously I think kicker's an obvious one, but I don't think people are talking about it enough. So that's just me right there. Like I said, let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please smash that like button, subscribe if you guys are new, and turn on those post notifications so you never miss a video. And peace.